everyone, it's Leanne with Lovely Scrappin'. Today I want to show you how I made my own cherry blossom. So you guys can see that. Sorry about the shadow. But anyway, so that's my cherry blossom, and this is the I Am Roses cherry blossom. And I made my own pearl bead stamens, but if you want you can use your own if you have some on hand. I got this pack for $1.50 at the thrift store. Can you believe it? It has black, ivory, pink, blue, this ivory with purple, metallic, red, like could not believe it. These flowers, this whole thing was $1.50. So if I wanted I could use these, but I really wanted to try making my own just with some pearls, little pearl beads. So that's what I did there. And let's get started. It's super easy. I'll tell you what you'll need here. Okay, so first thing you're going to need is a if you have an embossing pad, use that, but I'm just going to use this little piece of fun foam because that's all I have. You're going to need an embossing tool. I like a paintbrush that has a nice rounded edge to it. The bottom, one of those. You need a paper piercer. And I use the EK Success Punch. This is the 1-inch 5-petal, I think it's like a retro flower. If you have a Cricut that has a die, then you can just cut out just a 1-inch flower if you have that. And you're going to need 2. And then some jewelry wire. This is 30 gauge, so it's really tiny and easy to bend. Okay guys, so let's get started. So you're just going to want to punch out your flowers. I've used just an ivory cardstock, and just grab your little piece of foam or your embossing pad and your embossing tool. I'm going to use the bigger end of mine. There's a small end and a big one. I'm going to use the bigger one. And you're just going to take the first petal and you're just going to go along the edge of the petal with your embossing and just dry emboss, but don't go to the very edge. And just start working that petal, and then do as if you're like coloring, I like to describe it. Just start dry embossing the rest of the petal. So it's going to form this nice cupped sort of, hopefully you guys can see that, sort of a cup shape. Do that to all 5 petals. So you guys can make that out. And the texture from the dry embossing gives the petal sort of that natural look, sort of like the I Am Roses ones. Okay, so once you've done all 5 petals, you're going to take your paintbrush, or if you have one of those big embossing tools with a rounded edge, use that, but just take it and just work the center. Start working the center, and eventually your petals are going to all curl inward. Okay, so that's going to be the top flower. So that's going to be this flower here, okay, how it's cupped in. So that's that one. So just set that one aside. And just start dry embossing the other one in the same manner, but we're not going to be curling the flower petals in like we just did. We're just going to emboss each petal first, and then I'll show you what we're going to do. Okay, so now when you're all done embossing the 5 petals, you're going to flip it over. Okay, this is where it's a bit different. Take your paintbrush again, and you're just going to work it ever so slightly. Not too much, just a little bit. Just in the center. Okay, so you're going to get what looks sort of like that. So now what we're going to do is take, if you have a smaller paintbrush or even a bamboo skewer will work, you're just going to take the tip. So right now the embossing, it's kind of, each petal is domed downward, okay? So you're going to go with that and just curl it a little bit, each one. Curl it downward, okay? Okay, so where this one is embossed upward and curled upward, okay, this one is downward. And I just noticed this one petal I want to emboss a little bit better, so I'm going to flip it back down. Just emboss that petal a little bit better. Okay, So you see how I've embossed this part? So now flip it that way, okay? So you're going to be assembling them like that. So both of them are embossed this way. One is going to be flipped downward, and that one's going to be flipped upward. Hope that makes sense. So now we're going to just make our pierced holes. So take your paper piercer and just pierce the hole in the center. Okay. And then I take my embossing tool with the smaller end and I put it through that hole I just made just to get it a little bit bigger because I'm going to be putting my handmade Stamens in there, okay? So again, that one's faced downward. This one's faced upward. Just going to work that hole a little bit bigger. Just like that. Okay, so now let's get onto the Stamens. Now, what you're going to need is some jewelry wire. Mine is 30 gauge, so it's very teeny tiny. And I cut 5 strips, approximately 4 inches long. Now, if you want to make a spray out of these flowers and you want like a long stem, like the I Am Roses one, then you're going to want to cut these even longer. But with mine, I'm going to end up probably cutting that off and gluing it on a page anyway. But if you want to make a spray, like for instance, this spray I was inspired by Kelly. She's Creative Kelly from Cali. And I just made this spray by myself using I Am Roses. I didn't use my own yet. But again, you're going to want to make your stamens a little bit longer so you have the flower to twist onto your beads for the spray. So, but for this one, I'm just going to make it short like this, okay? So you're going to just take your 5 pieces and you're going to need some beads. I'm just using these little teeny tiny ivory beads, pearl beads. So I'm just going to put 3 on the first wire. And then you're just going to want to center it on your wire. Sorry about the lighting, you guys. I have to do this in my craft room and it's night right now, or it's getting dark anyway, and so the lighting isn't good. As I always say, I will get a lighting solution one day. Anyway, so you've got your beads in the center and I've just folded the wire in half, so now it looks like this. Okay, so you're going to want to fold it and pinch it. See how it's like that? Oops, sorry. And then you're going to want to pinch and twist. And just keep twisting nice and tight. I find by twisting this part here, it really tightens it up nicely right up to the bead so there's no movement. So there is your first one. So it's just going to look like that. See? Really cute. Okay, and so do that again to make 3 in total. Again, put it in the center. I'll just grab the beads like that. And then just take this and fold it inward, pinching it as close to the beads as possible, and then starting to twist. That'll get them nice and tight. I like to spread the wires a little bit like that. See how they're spread? Pinch the center and then just start twisting. Okay, and there's number 2. So now onto the third one, and you'll have 2 beads left after you make your third one. Okay, there's number 3. So now you're going to take 1 bead and string the 1 bead on one of the wires you have. Do the same thing but with only 1 bead on there. So you're going to want to pinch it, it's going to want to slide, and it's going to be a little bit more difficult to grab. Try to grab it and then start twisting it as close as possible to the bead. Then you'll get that. And then do the exact same thing to the very last bead and very last wire. Okay, so that's nice and tight. So now you've got those. I'm just going to move that out of the way. So now what you're going to do is just gather them together and just sort of twist them together. Doesn't matter. I like to sort of make the single ones sort of apart from each other, but you can't really tell that much anyway. But anyway, just twist them together, nice and tight. So they're like a little cluster. Your petals here. So again, the one that's domed upward, you're going to feed this through there first. Just like that. And then the one that's domed downward, and then just pop that in. Now what I like to do at this point is I just like to put a little bit of hot glue, hold the petals together, just a teeny tiny bit. And then just press them upward. Just sort of playing with the petals a little bit to get the look I'm wanting. And that's it, you guys. Like, super easy. You can open up the stamens a little bit so they're a bit staggered. And then just your petals. And there you have it. Your own handmade cherry blossom. Super easy. You can trim this off that now if you like. But yeah, it's so easy. If you find this is sliding down from the stamens in your center, you can add a little bit of glue. So this one's doing that a little bit. And then just push it up. Super easy, you guys. So that is my cherry blossom dupe. So much fun. These, oh my goodness, like you can make your own spray with these. How much fun would that be with pearl centers? I'm excited. Anyways, guys, I had to make a flower. It's been so long. Sorry for all you who love my flower tutorials. It's been a long time. But anyway, there you go. Love it. So you don't need to go buy I Am Roses now. It's your own handmade cherry blossom. Save some money. Do it at home. Hope you guys like it. Take care, everyone. Bye.